My name is Dr. Daniel Moses. I'm a property developer and a business entrepreneur. How did I become a member of Forbes Council? So, as you know, over the last 6 years specifically, I have been very active on social media, sharing case studies of clients, students, and as well as case studies of those who have worked with me and haven't built a seven-figure business, which I wasn't very quiet about. Interestingly, at the beginning of this year, I think it's around about January this year, I received an email through my email box, inviting me to officially, become a member of the Forbes Council. My work that I've done over the last 6 years compounded, and it got noticed, and through that I got the invitation to become a member of the Forbes Council. One of the benefits of being a member of the Forbes Council is, number one, it allows you to become visible. Number two is that it shows that your work has compounded to a great level of credibility. And as well as being a member of Forbes Council automatically means that your work is being recognized and people are resonating with the level of dignity, credibility, and trustworthy that you have actually built over time. So being a member of Forbes Council just basically amplifies your journey as a successful entrepreneur. I mean, we live in a world today where social media has taken over our youths and our even adults as well. So I always say this all the time. Social media is a two-way street. You're either a contributor or you're either a consumer. I produce mini content or micro content every now and then that inspires, educates people on social media. So people can actually consume that information without actually reading books, as long as it's impacting their life week in, week out, year in, year out. Well, how about people who stir up unnecessary arguments that is not adding value to their lives? So that means you're using social media to waste of your life. All right. On the nutshell, if you're consuming social media and you're consuming social media for educative and information that is, of impartation into your business, your life, your journey, your marriage, your relationship, and otherwise, and that's great. But I'll tell you this: reading books has transformed my life, and I want to encourage every single youth out there to consume social media with intention, not without intending to grow yourself. So if you're consuming mini content that educates you, then that's fine. If you're also compounding that by reading books, then that's also fine. But if you're using social media for the wrong things, then obviously it will have a negative impact, which will obviously damage your ability to understand and your ability to even pronounce and use vocabulary correctly. When I started to attain some great level of success, I thought it was quite necessarily for me to be able to share my successes, what I've learned in business, in property specifically, and that gave birth to my very first book called Rent to Rent Made Easy: How to Get Started in Property with Little or No Money. And recently, when I started, as I started to grow through in my business and entrepreneurial journey, I also then discovered that as well as a lot of people who look like me, especially in the UK property market, that there was a gap between mindset and people really understanding the ability to transition. So I wrote my second book called The Test: Transitioning from the Ordinary to the Extraordinary, where I share my personal experience, case studies of how I transitioned from the ordinary into building a seven-figure business. So a lot of inspiration in my writing came from what I saw, that a lot of people are doing great businesses in the United Kingdom, but they were not able to really clearly come out and talk about it, and so that other people can learn from them. So my inspiration comes from the success that I've had, and as well as helping others take that one step at a time to building their own journey. Well, my very first book, which became an Amazon best-selling book, we actually got to list number 3. That was within 24 hours of the book being published. Rent to Rent Made Easy: How to Get Started in Property with Little or No Money. A few of the key points outlined in that great book was, once upon a time I was an Uber driver. I did not have a lot of money to get my property journey started as a property investor, as a property someone who was looking to create a cash flow for himself in property. So I basically share in that great book that you can actually become a property manager you can actually borrow other people's property, which means you can leverage on other people's property to generate cash flow. So what does that mean? It means that you can find properties that the owners don't actually know what to do with it, and you can promise them a guaranteed rental income month in, month out, whilst you are able to legally sublet that property on their behalf and manage that property, generate an income for the landlord, which is the property owner, and as well as generate an income for yourself. The second book, called The Test, which also became an Amazon best-selling book, a book I released July the 14th this year. And The Test is all about, when we as entrepreneurs, when we go through this journey, there's a massive roller coaster after roller coaster after roller coaster, challenges after challenges, adversity. Sometimes you feel like, the whole world is against you as an entrepreneur. You feel like there are things that you're not doing right on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So I share my 22 years experience, right from how I basically immigrated. Now a lot of people are jackbarring tonight to the United Kingdom and across the globe. So I share how I basically left Nigeria, how I started business after business after business, encountered multiple failures, and how I was able to use those failures to build a brick wall. How I was able to use those failures to develop a thick skin to allow me thrive and to become a very successful entrepreneur. And I shared some other key principles in that book. How I invested in my personal development, how I became very intentional of who I collaborate with. Do I actually ever thought about writing books on frictions, lifestyle, and what such not? Well, in the last 3 years, first of all, 3 years ago, I had the imagination of writing books, and I brought my first book into life. So my first book is about 2+ years old, and now I have a second book. Actually, my third book that is coming out is on business and branding. Now, and the third book is about life, and I've been married for over the last 17 years, and I wanted to also discuss the importance of having happiness in your marriage in order to grow business. Because sometimes if you're disturbed at home, you can't literally create. So the importance of having a successful marriage and having, to be very well settled in your mind, having a good wife around you, also helps you become successful. Yes, in the nearest future, I will be writing books on life. I will be writing book on marriage. I will be writing book on even raising an entrepreneurial kids. So who knows where this journey might take me? I might even start writing books, as you said, on lifestyle. But obviously, it's one step at a time, and I'm already very grateful that in the last 3 years since I began this journey or new part of my career, where I've written a property book and I've also written a mindset book, I definitely would be thinking about writing different types of book from different angles. So when you talk about wealth creation, it means that for years and years to come, number one, that property appreciates in value. Number two, that property produces cash flow month in, month out, year in, year out. And number three, no one can actually come in and just sell those assets and do whatever they so like with it. Whereas when people invest in property, when they die, you see all these different children coming out from here, especially for Africa, who are, a lot of Nigerians, who are usually polygamous, in nature. And you see people coming out and everybody fighting over the properties or assets, wanting to sell them so they can get instant capital injection into whatever they choose to do. So when you talk about wealth creation, it is not just about the now. It is about 50 years, it is about 100 years, it's about 200 years, and the children never literally use those monies, for good deeds. They actually squander those funds. So when you think about wealth creation, it is protected in such a way where those assets can never be sold. However, those assets then serve as a cash flow creation, processes that allows those children to be paid forever and ever, throughout the whole, a lifetime of those children.